In the summer of 1977, more than 80,000 fans packed into the Olympic Stadium in Montreal. The crowd was chaotic, the noise was deafening, and the pressure on the band was immense. Overwhelmed by the crushing scale of the audience, Pink Floyd's frontman Roger Waters experienced a sudden psychological break. In a moment of sheer frustration, he spat directly at a fan near the stage. In the hours that followed, Waters felt an overwhelming sense of isolation, a feeling that an impenetrable physical wall had been erected between himself and the rest of humanity. Decades later, and thousands of miles away, an anonymous young man in the Middle East experienced that exact same sensation of profound, suffocating isolation. But instead of channeling that alienation into a concept album, this young man strapped on a suicide vest and detonated it. On the surface, Montreal and the Middle East share nothing, but look at the architecture of their isolation, and a pattern emerges. Both responses, one artistic, the other catastrophic, were built on a shared internal blueprint, the construction of a psychological wall between themselves and a world they no longer recognized. When society tries to explain why a young person abandons their life to join a group like ISIS, the answers usually arrive instantly. We assume they were desperately poor, were entirely uneducated, or thoroughly brainwashed by propaganda. This chart shows demographic data extracted from thousands of leaked recruitment documents analyzed by the World Bank. The bars map out the education levels of incoming fighters. The vast majority possessed high levels of formal education, frequently exceeding the average benchmarks of their home countries. The economic data reveals a similar pattern. The countries producing the highest per capita rate of foreign fighters were often nations boasting relatively high income levels. These individuals possessed material comfort and social stability. Ideology acts as a late-stage symptom. Extremism serves as the roof placed on a psychological fortress that takes years to construct. To understand how someone ends up inside, we have to examine the raw materials they use to build it. The construction begins the moment a child's basic assumption of safety is shattered. Whether it comes from the sudden devastation of a military conflict, the collapse of a community, or a deep personal trauma, the solid ground they trust cracks open without warning. This fracture frequently takes the shape of a missing father figure. That absence rarely means a biological parent alone. It represents a lost national project that once united a generation, a moral authority that failed in broad daylight, or a political leader who suffered a humiliating defeat. When that guiding voice disappears, it leaves behind a terrifying vacuum. The individual is left searching for any absolute authority, a new compass to clearly dictate right from wrong. Next come the bricks. Oppressive environments manufacture these by the thousand. This conditioning happens inside rigid educational systems that demand blind obedience, and it happens on streets plastered with the faces of unquestionable dictators. In these spaces, a person learns that their own voice holds zero value. They learn that asking a question invites danger, and that raw, unchecked power dictates the truth. Enduring years of this systemic humiliation creates a warped relationship with authority. A person who spends their entire life forced to the back of the line rarely dreams of liberty. They dream of holding the whip. Holding those bricks together is a deep existential numbness. After enough trauma and humiliation, the mind simply stops feeling. The individual retreats inward, shielding themselves from the pain, but simultaneously locking out any sense of joy, connection, or purpose. We can observe exactly how this environment of isolation breeds extremism by looking at the American detention center in Iraq, Camp Bucca. In 2004, it held thousands of humiliated, disenfranchised men behind razor wire. Among those prisoners was a quiet, unassuming young man named Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. He used that concentrated void to preach, to organize, and to weave together a network of the most radicalized minds in the region. Humans have an incredible capacity to endure physical starvation, war, and poverty. What they cannot survive is a complete absence of meaning. The moment that void opens, it becomes a race to see who will fill it first. Finally, the ideological roof goes up. Extremist groups do not recruit by leading with a promise of violence. They step into the void with a calm, paternal voice, offering absolute protection, clear answers, and a community that claims to truly value you. This rhetoric operates like a potent narcotic. To a person who has felt existentially numb for years, the sudden promise of a cosmic mission delivers an artificial euphoric rush of purpose and superiority. People rarely blow up their lives because they read a particular religious text. They surrender to a militant group because the ideology acts as the only available medicine for the agonizing pain of being invisible. The promise of an ideological utopia carries a fatal flaw. To build a perfectly pure society, you have to relentlessly identify and eradicate anyone deemed impure. The testimonies of countless defectors reveal the reality of this promise. The warm, welcoming brotherhood they traveled across the world to find rapidly dissolved. In its place, they found a daily existence defined by suffocating paranoia, where the slightest misstep resulted in execution. The fortress they spent their entire life building to keep the hostile world out officially becomes their own execution chamber. Terrorist states eventually collapse, their borders recede, and their leaders are killed. But the psychological conditions that supplied them with thousands of willing recruits remain entirely intact. Military forces can drop ordnance on a weapons depot, and intelligence agencies can dismantle a network of financiers. They cannot bomb away the deep humiliation, the shattered trust, and the profound trauma left behind in the rubble of those conflicts. If every fortress of extremism starts with a psychological wound, society will never stop the cycle by only fighting the people standing on the walls. We have to start looking at who is leaving them to bleed in the first place.